You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at. They turn it back around. You can't stop me.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Psych Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course, joining me tonight is Lisa Barnett with her new book, Your Soul Has a Plan. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Sorry about last week when Optimum was not being optimum.
I'm glad we could manage to get back together. So thank you for having me.
Now, this isn't your first book, but this one takes on working within the Akashic records and building out your the life purpose through those records. Can you explain that process a little bit for our listeners?
Absolutely. So before we embody, before we decide to come back to Earth, and it's always good to realize that most of us have been coming back many hundreds of lifetimes. So I would say if you're listening, it's probably, your 400th or 500th or 600th lifetime. And it's always a bit of a joke to me because the record keepers say I've been here 1,000 lives. So I'm not sure if it's just because I'm super dense or had way too many karmic, lessons to learn. But actually they say we come back to learn and to share and to teach and to, so I came back to access to bring the Akashic records back to humanity. So the way the record keepers explain it is that before we come back, we write a whole big plan. Just like if you were going to start a business, you'd want to write a business plan, right? So it has soul contracts in the plan, and soul contracts can be to support each other, or they can be to learn lessons and learn and grow with someone. So many of our challenging relationships are based on a soul contract of soul growth, of soul learning. So we make those challenging relationships so that we aren't just bored and everything just isn't easy. That's really not why we come to Earth.
Right.
So we have soul contracts, we have gifts and talents that we want to share. Again, imagine you've been hanging out here on this planet over 600 lifetimes, and you have honed a lot of gifts and talents. You've got some serious skills, right? And so you say, I'm going to bring this gift and this talent, and I want to share this. I want to teach that. I want to speak about this or write that. Or maybe I'm just sharing it with my community, or maybe I'm using it. Maybe I'm a healer and I, in this life, become an acupuncturist or some sort of, doctor, or a more classic, hands-on healer, Reiki master, whatever that might mean.
Right.
So we add our challenges in there. We have the people to support us. We have our karmic contracts. We have gifts and talents. And all of that kind of rolled together creates a soul plan for your life.
Now, how detailed are they?
Well, I guess it kind of depends in some ways on whose records you're reading.
Okay.
So when people come to me and they say, do I have a soul contract with this person? Or maybe it's my spouse. And I'll go into the records and I'll ask if they have a soul contract, if it's actually current or if it's complete. We can ask about if there was lessons to learn, ask if we can upgrade it or update it, maybe if it's still active, but kind of outside of time and space, like it's not current. And of course, ask what it's about. And some people get a lot of information. And what I find is that the support contracts, which to me are the really lovely contracts, like I'm here to support you and you're here to support me. They tend to be a little less complicated because it's really about support and love and being there for each other.
Mhm.
And we, in a lot of ways, get to choose. Is
Mhm.
this going to be a best friend? Is this going to be a significant partner? Is this going to be a business partner? Right. So we don't always write even that detail
Mhm.
into the contracts.
Right.
We may, but we don't always.
Right. And you're not the first to talk about Akashic Records. Famous Edgar Casey, and then Sylvia Brown also both done work on this. Very much so. With it, do you think the record keepers gets tired of us walking in, or our guides walking in and going, "We need number 133, please"?
No, actually, I get absolutely the opposite.
Okay.
So, when the record keepers came to me about 25 some odd years ago, they literally asked me to help them to re-anchor the Akashic energy to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so what had happened was during the Dark Ages, the record keepers, these infinite beings of light, pulled the energy away from the planet so we could no longer access the Akash because it was the Dark Ages and we were using it for our own gain, right? We were just like, okay, how can I win this war? How many more people can I kill? How do I find their gold, right?
Right.
And so the record keeper said, that's not the use of the Akashic records. And so, you're obviously not of the high enough consciousness to access this,
Mm-hmm.
with integrity, with
Mm-hmm.
a greater purpose. So they literally pulled the vibration away, which is why most people haven't heard about it or for a very long time.
Right.
So Edgar Casey, I'm going to say in there, you've got a couple of the great mystics, of course, the great mystics and meditators and whatever gurus over the centuries could still access it because they were in the consciousness that could access that. But I think Edgar Casey was probably one of the first that came back and publicly started to say, I'm accessing this information.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with Edgar Casey that I find interesting is that it took 3 people to access the Akashic records the way he did it, right? He went into a deep sleeping trance. He went into a, deep hypnotic trance. His wife was the one who could ask the questions and he could hear. And then he had a secretary writing everything he said.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that wasn't the original setup.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the original setup was the client would ask the questions. The problem was the clients began taking advantage of that and asking improper questions, and a record keeper got pissed.
Wow, I hadn't heard that story. That is fascinating and totally makes sense, right? Because of what the record keepers say. And so they actually have said, if we cannot be in integrity in the Akash, then you won't have access any longer. So I bet Edgar was like, whoa, I'm going to lose access because these people, are asking
what
improper
happened
questions.
was they were like asking about stock market and other things, and of course, when you're in that flow, you just answer. You can't filter, and all of a sudden he's in the middle of reading and comes out of it in a cold sweat and has no voice.
Oh wow!
Because that was an interesting thing about Egner is, he was scheduled that he could only do 20. He could only review 20 records a day. If he went over it,
records, let's just say
20. That is a lot of records. Yeah,
I might do 8, but that's when I'm at or even 10 or 12 at an expo. But to do that on a regular basis, wow,
daily, and every time he would go over, he would have a health problem. He would either get a cold, lose his voice, because that's how he started. That was to heal his vocal cords, because they were the spiritual review of it was they were raising his vibrations to connect. So they went through physical changes.
Sure.
The medical was they didn't know why he had laryngitis and could not speak. But it went through this thing, and he was able to do that. But every time he went over his limit, it went bad. I mean, looking at the files, it was really like, because looking at him and his career and the PR management side of it, it's like, wow, ancient mystic come to earth. Going into it and digging into it, it's like, oh, wow. Edgar was just like us, pushing our limits, going a little faster, going a little deeper.
Right.
And his guys are going, we ain't doing this. We ain't doing this. I ain't having that man bitch at me again.
Right. Oh my God, that's wild. I love that. That is, amazing. And, always so wonderful because, as you know, when we got on today, I was just kind of complaining about being a little overly exhausted because I'm doing so many interviews with the book. And even when I'm on an interview, I'm holding the field. I'm holding that energy. The record keepers are always talking to me. And so if I'm doing an hour and a half interview, that's an hour and a half of me sharing what they want, me to share. And often I do group healing, like on some shows and different things like that. And then I go from that into teaching a workshop for 2 hours, teaching people how to do this work, and then on to another interview. So I guess I better double check with my record keepers and get my limit number.
Sure. And see, here's the thing, and it's a theory that I have formed, watched, and tested. The more higher of the other realm vibration you get, the more physical problems you have. The other part of that is that if you start pushing that muscle, it's like running too much. All of muscle. You pull this, you do that, and then you start having problems on the physical plane. Right. So please make sure you're taking care of some time for yourself. You're hitting that gym. You're drinking your fluid.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what the record keepers keep saying too, is it's, and not just for me, but for all of humanity, it's really very much about balance. Because especially in the United States, we're tremendously out of balance. We've gone from a 40-hour work week to a 60-hour work week, right? Or more.
Or more. I was like 60, I think.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I work for myself.
In the house, we are way past 60, honey.
Yeah, right. And I work 7 days a week because my husband works 7 days a week. It's crazy. And I keep saying more vacations, more time off, more fun.
More fluid, more water. Since you stay in what we will consider the zone so much, do you find that, there's food, like you have to maintain a diet?
I have always been food sensitive. So it's kind of interesting, but I was also born awake, right? So when I was 3 years old, I realized that I was trapped back in a body. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing again? Right? That happens after 1,000 lifetimes, right?
Yeah, you get to the point it's like, what? Why am I here?
Right.
Oh God.
Right. And I hated being a kid. I just couldn't wait to, grow up and get on with it. I started studying, metaphysics and spirituality when I was 14. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Right. If I came back, let's make it happen. So I've always been like just a hugely finicky eater. I've always, I've been gluten-free for 20 years. I don't eat much, honestly. I'm good with some protein. I'm shakes and kind of, So it is interesting. I think that, and I know that our bodies are really going through greater changes now, with this ascension energy, and that we're moving from a, more carbon-based body to a more crystalline-based body. And it's going to take, I think, a while, although we haven't ever done it. So who knows? We'll see. I don't know if it's going to be 5 years or 25 years, right?
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
try to do my best, right? I'm
Right.
a big fan of organic foods and all of that, and lots of water, and
Lots of water. Love the protein because I don't know. I've been forming some theories on the need for protein versus because for years I've done high protein, low carb, minimal process as possible, and I'm noticing probably over the last year and a half that it's like, oh no, this is what you've got to live on. You mess up and go eating your sugars and your crap, you're gonna feel like shit.
right. Yeah. No, it's a good point. And I think that the more people realize
Uh-huh.
that, then the easier it is, hopefully, to start to refine the food. Of course, all the processed food and all the garbage is just, your body can't process it. So you're just giving it more work and no nutrients, right?
Mhm.
So in order, again, to really ascend, in order to move from the third dimension into the fourth, and
Mhm.
eventually on into the fifth, and the record keepers are like, and sixth and seventh and eighth, we are really going back home.
Right. And that's the point, is to get there. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're still working on getting to the fourth dimension.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Those that are foreseeing the fifth dimension is like, chill it. We got to get them through the first gate.
Well, I think we get anxious. I mean, not anxious, but excited. Like,
Mhm.
I've been hanging in the fifth, sixth, eighth for most of my life. So I'm like, oh, yay, come on, come join me here. It's so
Uh-huh.
much better. The water is warm, right?
Right. So, your soul has a plan. So, let's talk about this because I want to see what you say about this. 'Cause I have a theory. I'm sure when we're sitting at council, they are serving something very, very, very intoxicating. Because some of the stuff that comes up in plans, some of the things that we go through in our life down here,
Right.
it's like, what in the world?
Right. What were we thinking? Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when your students, which she teaches classes, she got a new one coming up here very soon. What are some of the common responses you get there?
Well, the thing that I find actually really fascinating is that when I have a client, when I'm doing an Akashic reading and healing session, or a student is, in class, comes to me and I say, your soul actually chose to be born into that alcoholic family, or that narcissistic family, or that abusive family.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, I would have guessed, people would yell at me,
Right.
But what I find is that usually by the time people are starting to access the Akashic records, they've been on a spiritual path for a while. They
Mm-hmm.
realize that they're not a victim of whatever that traumatic childhood was.
Right.
And they go, thank you. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I came to help that parent I came to end abuse in the world by making the buck stop here, so that abuse is not continued, down this ancestral lineage, right? Because we know that often abuse is passed down from
Mm-hmm.
parent to child,
Right.
and on. So we step in, the light workers step in and say, I'm here to end that. And the only way I can really end it is by being that person who gets the abuse and goes on to do the forgiveness and the compassion and have a happy, healthy life going forward. Work, like,
Mm-hmm.
of course, no one's saying it doesn't take work and effort and time
Right.
to heal the trauma, but I find that we can really heal so much trauma energetically in the Akashic record, because it is part of source energy. It is part of the quantum field.
Right.
So it's lovely to go talk to your higher self and have your higher self tell you that. And but the gift of really going into this quantum field and moving outside of time and space and clearing all of those soul contracts and the past life karmic patterns and all those lifetimes where we were the abuser or the murderer or because we're all good people and all awful people. No one does one thing. No one is
Right.
all good, right? So when we can come to come to understand and believe that that really is the truth of who we are, that we are
Mm-hmm.
everything, then it's easier to start to go, well, I came in because, in another lifetime, I actually abused that soul. And I asked them to help me remember and heal and be the compassion and be the forgiveness this time, because we've been playing this game for, thousands of years.
Right. And this tic-tac-toe bouncing back and forth idea of things.
Yeah.
And it gets, I'm sure you get the naysayers that are like, I didn't choose this. I didn't plan this. Yeah, you did. You
Right.
decided I'm taking on this mantra. I'm going to have this here. You may not have planned out what you're going to have lunch on the 37th day down here.
Right.
But you planned, the, Pentecostal father that needs an adjustment of energy, this situation, that situation.
Okay.
Have you looked at the more, what I call majors, meaning kind of, life themes, life purposes, life expressions, like the humanitarian or, and that, like all their whole lives, like they're just studying how to be a humanitarian. They're the explorer who's just being an explorer.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. And to me, there's, of course, nothing more fun than doing readings for those people, right? Because we find that they are seraphim or Elohim angels that have been in the multiverse forever, right? Because we're infinite.
Right.
But even though we're infinite, I don't get that everybody started at the same point. But the seraphim and the Elohim, I believe, probably did and have been creator beings in the universe, in the multiverse forever. So we are coming in and saying, okay, it's time. The planets are aligning. I'm going back in. This time I'm going to actually make it happen because there's enough energy. There's enough light. Humanity is waking up. We set up all these crazy things like COVID so that people got locked down and had time to meditate for a couple of years. We've set up all of these, situations so that we can stack the deck and start to make this happen on top of the fact that we have the age of Aquarius, dawning, of course, and we're just, a few years in. Well, a little more than that, probably 50. But anyway, that's a few years in the scheme of, 26,000 or.
We're just barely touching the bottom of the bucket. We haven't even got the water bucket full yet.
Right.
So what do you think about some of the things you see going on around you? Like the repetitive history that we're seeing? Is it old tapes just replaying?
The way I hear it is that until we can see it and change it, it's going to repeat. It's exactly what karma has always been, is that we make a mistake, and until we go, oh, oops, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, let me fix that. We come back and we do it again, and we do it again, and we do both sides, and we try it again until we can consciously realize what's happening. So we're stuck in a pattern that is finally starting to be recognized.
Right.
And there's lots of really big group contracts. So it's a little bit of a different thought. But not only do we make soul contracts with each other, to support each other, to learn and grow with each other, to create businesses, to make babies, all of the stuff that we like to come here and do. We also contract with hundreds of thousands of other souls who start to unwrite old contracts, unwrite old programming that we wrote when we brought the earth down to the third dimension. And so we are and these are some of the contracts. One of the contracts is to actually end abuse of all kinds
Right.
on the planet, and that contract means I'm gonna step into that family or that situation, that whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It shows up in many ways. And I'm going to turn that around. I'm going to end it. I'm going to do the forgiveness work. I'm going to do the compassion. I'm going to learn something I can share with other people who have had that experience or been in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I not only do I come to learn, but I come to share the wisdom that I've gleaned from that situation.
Right.
So balance is another one. And the huge piece is about rebalancing divine feminine and divine masculine.
Mm-hmm.
It has been so out of balance for over 3,000, 4,000
Mm-hmm.
years.
Right.
Right? Male, female, equality of all kinds, every kind of balance in the world.
Right.
Until we bring that equal, not just making women stronger than men or any other, imbalanced situation. Until we can actually do that,
Mm-hmm.
we will not ascend, because you cannot ascend an imbalanced earth into a higher dimension.
Right.
So people are awakening, but if we start to look at the whole planet and the collective, the planet will not move into the fourth dimension, and certainly not into the fifth, until everyone on the planet has come into balance in some of these different ways. So they're collective. It's a collective purpose, right? It's a collective contract.
All right. It's totally understandable. I mean, because, here's an example, the panini. If we looked back, 1918 to 1924, the Spanish flu, going even further, it's like, every 100 to 175, 78 years, we have a global pandemic. How weird.
Yeah. Well, it is important for all sorts of different reasons. I think there's one part that actually, the last couple have been a bit detrimental, right? Because during the Spanish flu, what the doctors who are allopathic doctors did was they stepped up, and because all their people were dying, and the people who were being treated with homeopathy and acupuncture and such were fine. They were coming out of it, right, with natural ways. And so the allopathic doctors started the AMA and basically shut down the other type of doctors.
Yeah.
And so it was really detrimental to our world, to our society, especially again here in the US. It's not as true in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Europe has stayed with things like homeopathy and probably acupuncture and different kinds of tools more than we have. But
what I find interesting is the separation between we'll call them the Europeans, and the Western America, America specifically, is how it was handled. And also where things are at there, as far as, if they are working well. And they've not done that big split of, homeopathy goes in this box, the other one goes here. They've kept it together. Like, you're recommended more supplements and different food choices and all this other stuff with a European doctor versus what you get in the Americas.
Right. I mean, it's really mind-blowing, to me, a lot of those kind of systems. I was in Scotland last year, and I lost my thyroid medicine, right? So I went to a clinic, I talked to a doctor, I got a prescription for my thyroid medicine, and I went and got that filled, and it cost me $25 all told.
Mm-hmm.
That would have cost me probably 3 at least $300 in the US, if not more, right?
Right.
So just those kinds of things. So the theory is that we're supposed to learn and grow from some of these experiences. The hope is that we will advance medicine. Not quite sure how that one's working out for us. And I think there's a lot of energy around it. Actually allows people who don't want to be here anymore and don't want to make this shift to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's never one answer is what the record keepers always say, right? There's many different situations. And the record keepers, say that the amount of humanity on the planet will lessen.
Right.
And a lot of that is because there's souls who don't want to play this game anymore.
Right.
They may not be physically able, or in a situation health-wise, or even monetarily, where they're like, I'm ready to awaken, I'm ready to make this shift.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck. There's huge populations, probably at least 6.5 billion people on the planet, who are more in that situation. Not that I'm, saying anything scary, not like they're all going to up and leave, but I believe there will be earth changes that are going to cause issues. There will be health changes that are going to cause issues. And that's why it becomes more and more important for us to take care of ourselves, to eat organic, to eat more purely, to drink tons of pure water, to spend time in the sun, to spend time in nature, to hug a tree. That's grounding. It actually is important for our physical bodies, because the ascension process is about taking the body with us, right?
Right.
Not leaving it behind this time.
Right.
So it's, we have to kind of get conscious to that and start to make changes in our lives to make that happen for ourselves.
Right. And being focused with that. And that's more of the important side of that, is being aware of what you're doing, where you're saying it, and how you're progressing your soul. And noticing also patterns within your thing. Okay? As far as patterns within your life and moving it forward.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's a big piece of your soul plan, is these patterns, right? Which we often will say, that's it could be a karmic pattern, which just means that I'm still working on this same story. I haven't figured it out yet. I've worked with lots of clients over the years who, like I was saying before, when I tell them that they chose this abusive family to stop that pattern from going on down their ancestral lineage, ending it for their children and their siblings and their siblings' children, and on and on, for many generations. Most of them are like, oh, thank heavens I'm one of the light workers that came in to do that. They actually find it really validating to understand that and see it in a different way. And of course, there's always a few who say, I can't forgive. I don't want to forgive. I won't forgive. And fine, your choice. That's a big
choice, but that's your choice.
Thing to know, though, it's your choice. You have free will, so yes, you still get to choose. And of course, the thing is that if you choose anger, right? Of course, anger and hatred, frustration, all of that, we know you're poisoning yourself with those emotions and those feelings. We know that really negative emotions often create dis-ease in the body, so we end up with some kind of illness or cancer or something. And we also know that if you don't do what you came to do in this life, you'll come back and do it again. So you have to just kind of be like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I just want to be, pissed off and stubborn. And I'll come back and give it a shot again, and maybe I'll be able to do it the next time.
Right.
That's why I decided to stay here, when I was 3 years old and I thought, oh my God, I'm trapped in a body. What am I thinking?
Right.
I won't go back. And then my two best friends when I was a teenager both died. And so I was really traumatized. By the time I was 19, I had been abandoned by my two soul sisters,
Oh,
one
wow.
died. And I thought, I'm out.
They
I'm
took
out.
the option line out. Let's talk about that a minute. Because we don't, and I will not answer these questions. So y'all just put them back in your pocket. When am I leaving? And it's like,
Right.
when you decide to leave, not a minute sooner, when your mission is done. But we do design quick escape options,
Yes, we do.
at certain points in our lives.
We absolutely do. So most people have something like, 5 exit points.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that maybe you are in a car accident and you die. Maybe everybody else is fine. And it's kind of odd that that one person died. These are kind of exit points. Sometimes it's an extreme quick illness. It can be anything, right? But that's what they often are.
Mm-hmm.
I was so distressed in a sense that I felt, abandoned by my soul sisters and couldn't imagine how I would do what I came to do without them. Because I thought that I had come to do it with them. And I actually now believe that they came in to trigger me to wake up. But there was points in my life where I was a little on the suicidal edge there, thinking, I don't get this. I'm not doing this again. This is ridiculous. And for me, the great gift was I had access, to this divine wisdom. I had the guides come in and say, if you do that, you're just going to have to come back. And I was like, oh, no, never mind. And that was it. And I, it was different because I wasn't depressed and I wasn't, I was traumatized, but there's so many different reasons that, people leave, people commit suicide. Absolutely. That I didn't have. I was more a very pissed off old soul.
Right.
Very obstinate, and so hands on hips. Damn it, I'm not going to do this, right? So I could go.
Get off my lawn, hands on hips, mood.
Right. Okay, I will do it. I will stay, and I did end up, studying, but before I studied, in all of my pissed offness and all of my I went down a big rabbit hole because I was living in California and it was, the 60s and the 70s, and there was a lot of rabbit holes to fall down. So,
but those were, what's interesting is I like the energy of that. Do you think we'll see that energy again of the 60s and 70s?
Well, this is what the record keepers say, is that was the beginning of, that was really that first wave of the Aquarian age coming in. And we reacted, the people at that time reacted in an extreme way with, love-ins and protests. And, but there was nothing, the energy wasn't here to anchor it yet.
Yeah.
Right. So, astrologically, the nodes weren't set up right, and it wasn't time. It really was just the tip of the iceberg. So it wasn't time. That's an interesting question. Again, I think we might see that kind of thing again as more and more people wake up and realize we need to make a peaceful transition. And I can see us having more sit-ins, love-ins, whatever we are going to call it, right?
Right.
But protest and saying, we're not going to take this. We're not going to stand for this anymore in a very peaceful way. So again, because none of it is really created or manifest, because we're in such a space of raising vibration, never awakening is a collective humanity before, never moving from carbon-based bodies to crystalline-based bodies. We've never done this before. We've never awoken on this planet. So it'll be interesting to see how we, as the light workers and souls that are here, choose to make this happen with the greatest ease and grace and peace and love and compassion.
That comes with a good bit of fear there. That's been dancing around the community. And it does every time we start moving up or changes start happening. There's this big, I don't know, I almost want to call them the Ferengi side of the spiritual world. That starts popping in and fearing, and it's that, oh my, we're gonna fall. We're flying, but we're gonna fall. We're gonna fall. And it's like, no, you ain't.
Right. I completely agree with you. I am so kind of anti-apocalyptic movies. I kind of laugh. My son and my husband watch these apocalyptic movies. They get a kick out of that, and the zombies and all. And I'm just like, I don't even want to put any energy in there, because I know that is not what we're doing. I know through the Akashic records, and you probably get these huge messages also, that we have shifted timelines into a positive timeline where we're not blowing ourselves up. We're not blowing up the planet. I mean, that was, back in 2000 to 2012, we were a little, fringy there on if we were going to make the jump to a higher vibrational timeline. And we have, and we're staying there, and we will stay there with everyone's, kind of really positive energy, which sounds a little corny, but I really get that our intention, our creation, the positive creation of the world, continuing to move forward, continuing to create new businesses, higher vibrational work, things that are for humanity, for the planet, it really on purpose in so many ways. I believe there are hundreds of thousands of newer souls coming to the planet to help save us with new inventions. And so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, very much so. Now, this isn't your first book. You have a number of books out there.
Right.
Which book is for the beginner, the one just waking up?
Well, your soul has a plan, which is, let me see if I can do that. I guess that, there you go. Totally for the beginner. This is the first book. I wrote it last, but it's the first one.
Okay.
So that, and then the second book, I actually wrote second. It's called From Questioning to Knowing. It has 73 healing prayers that I've channeled from the Akashic records. And so it's a great kind of next step into, now I'm understanding this. There's prayers to clear kind of, family energy. There's prayers to clear shame and blame and guilt and judgment, and there's 73 prayers to clear just about
There's
everything.
a lot of work, when you've done as many trips down here. You get a lot of souvenir stuff.
Right. Right. So From Questioning to Knowing is the second book to read if you're just starting on the Akashic journey. And then there is The Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records, which is kind of a short how-to book that can guide you into accessing your own Akashic records. Although, I always say people read the book and then they come and do my live, 16-hour workshop, because it's really very deep work. And certainly, I'm sure you could pick up the book and read it and get it, because you've been in this world for, probably almost as long as me, 25, 30 years, right?
Right.
But But for newer people who are not already psychics or channels or anything else, really having a teacher or somebody to guide you and to hold the energy. A lot of it's very much about holding that space of the Akashic field so that the student can slip into that using the vibrational keys that I teach.
Right. Now, you brought up the class. I've put out the ad for it, but tell us about that. That's an intense class. 4 weeks, 16 hours course. How are you running it? Do they need to fly out to LA?
No, I pretty much gave up teaching live probably about almost 5 or 6 years ago. So I actually have been more online for the last 15 years. So it is an online workshop. It is 2 hours on Mondays and Wednesdays for a month. It starts February 27th, so it's a couple weeks off yet. When you sign up, you'll be able to download about a 45-page manual, so you have that in front of you. I teach it on Zoom, so I'm very present, but I also love to, because I talk a lot, but not everybody is an auditory learner. So I always have slides up and there's a manual so people can read along with what I'm talking about and explaining. And we literally go through and I teach you the 5-step wisdom prayer system. I walk you through it. We start to practice it. And I teach you a variety of Akashic tools to help to be a great, the sovereign of your energy field. So to be more grounded, to create a rainbow shield, to be able to move people out of your space so you can be the sovereign of your physical body and energy field. All of these 7 different healing prayers to assist you. So there's many different layers of tools that I teach in this 16-hour workshop, as well as we're doing lots of exercises and practices, and I'm answering your questions live. And there's even 2 days where I'm really doing group healing, as well as helping people to integrate the energy, clear old contracts and blocks that no longer serve them. Often we have a lot of blocks around being seen, doing spiritual work, right? That darn Inquisition, those 500 years where so many of us were killed, probably not just once, but numerous times.
Right.
They've
been for a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
What time or do they have access to the replay?
Both, absolutely. So it'll be live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time, right? So, and then everything is recorded and will be available in a folder for people to, watch. So I tried to pick a time that works, in a lot of areas around the world, but nothing is ever perfect. I don't think that's so great for Australia, but it's good for Europe and the US and
And then, but also, they're able to go back and rewatch or, work through something if they're having a struggle with it or, that type of thing, which is amazing. And you can go to our website there, go ahead and grab the course. I'm sure, there are seats, but remember, Lisa's classes fill up. She only takes so many students because she's not going to work for 3,000 students at a time.
Right.
That
would be a little bit much to hold, right?
Yeah. That's it's bad enough you're trying to hold the field globally. Right.
No, it is very true. And if you can just go, if you click on the Access Wisdom link, then you will see all of the bonuses, because I give people downloadable MP3s of the guided visualization, different tools. Like I say, there's a written manual you can print out. I even actually have one of my favorite things that's not on the page is I've recorded a 45-minute healing segment where I work on clearing people's clairs, right? So I
Uh-huh.
clear your clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, so that you could listen to that 45-minute healing call 3 times between or more between now and the class starting, and really peel layers of energy, that's blocking some of your gifts and talents. So it's something that doesn't show up on the website, but it is what you get. I should fix that page. But
Well, your designer will get to it, honey.
right.
Um, but you're also doing something else. And this is something that I've not seen in a while. I'm really happy to see that we're starting to get this. Is you're doing the consultant training program,
Yep.
and then the teachers program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what's the stage there?
So, because I've been at this for, again, a very long time, and I kind of hate to date myself, but I do all the time anyway. But, 30 years ago, when the record keepers were like, we need your help bringing this back to humanity. We pulled it away. Now it's time. And so many people have written soul contracts. Part of their purpose and plan is to do some kind of spiritual work, to be a healer, to be a psychic, to be an Akashic record consultant or healer and healer. So I have a year. So you do Akashic self-mastery. The record keeper said to me, it is very important for someone to master their own Akash, to understand who they really are. And that's the first course and the second course. So there's 2 courses in that. And before they go on to career mastery, which is a year-long program, to become a certified Akashic consultant with my school, Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom. And then once they've done that and get a little experience as a certified consultant, then I teach people to teach my work, right? So my proprietary work, which is of course licensed, but I will teach you, to teach it.
Right.
So, that people can step into really a business without having to go and, okay, help me to try and figure out how I can teach a class or be a healer. So it's really all, and I do it all live on Zoom all around the world. So
and it's important because these classes are rare. I'm sorry, I work in the industry. I see a lot of us older people, I'm teaching now, but to get the certificational classes in Akashic Records or Angel Messages or, they're now, those teachers are, completed their mission and they're not teaching it anymore. But it's really good to see you out here teaching and doing this and making a path for an Akashic consultant to go all the way. Now, does the teacher class and the consulting class also cover business? Not just the spiritual side of business.
Yep.
But real business, like know your legal laws, know your taxes. This is how you file this. This is what you do with this.
Quite a bit of it. The certified consultant. I'm a good business person. Thank heavens. I spent almost 15 years as a production director in an advertising agency. And so I learned business. And then when I decided it was time to open my own healing center, I knew what I was doing, right? And not to mention I'm married to, a tax guy. So it's kind of handy. But so the career mastery is very much about creating a viable business for yourself as a certified consultant. So we totally talk about that. One of my dear friends who teaches a part of that class is really a business coach, and she's all about getting people up and running. And how do we channel and write this website? What do we do next? How do we make funnels so that we have people coming into our businesses and buying small stuff and then bigger stuff, right? So really that whole business aspect is part of the the certified consultant. So I do it then, because if you can't make that business go, how could you make a teacher, an Akashic workshop go? Right.
Right.
So,
but no, those are important, very important in this world. I really think that, eventually there's going to have to be a class called, and there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of that, but there needs to be some real hands-on stuff. Yeah. Because you walk in here with gifts, you rediscover those gifts, you work those gifts, you get great at those gifts. And I can remember back studying the Metaphysical Center and all these other places, and I've ever paperized myself. Not one business class.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because you have these tools, and then you sit in your house and you think, now what?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Now and I didn't want that. How do I get out there? And the world is changing, but that's, even why I moved from, I had a brick and mortar healing center 15 years ago. And I will still teach live classes occasionally, but not very often. I'll do it more for fun. Like I'm speaking at a Conscious Awakening event in Sedona in April.
You're in LA, what, next week?
Yes, LA this coming weekend is the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles. This 10th, 11th, 12th, I'll be there. And we'll have 3 booths because one of my students who I trained as a certified consultant has a booth. And Linda, who also teaches part of the business coaching part, will have her business or Akashic business readings. So we'll have 3 booths. So if you're anywhere in the Los Angeles area this weekend, come say hello. That would be so fun.
Yeah.
And I know how important it is, and I want to support my students, like, to do these kinds of things and get out there and get speaking gigs at these sorts of expos. And
are you on the road as much as you used to be, or are you more home-based virtual still?
Well, this year, no, it's kind of exploded back out into the world. So, of course, the last few years there weren't any expos or events. And this year they seem to be coming back, and I'm showing up because I kind of miss people. I miss it. So I've got, right now, I've got a lot of events all year long. So,
very cool.
Looking forward to that. I've got another one coming up here. I live in Northern California, so there will be one, here in April. And, so just lots of things going on. And, I'm excited to be out there. And of course I do a million things on Zoom also.
Well, but, I always kind of look towards, the California group as seeing how the community is, because, there's a lot of talk about the metaphysic festivals, all those not coming back. There's also a lot of us that have said, no, if you want me there, you'll invite me. I'm not going to be schlepping across this country 52 weekends a year to making everything work the way it is. So I was just wondering how the California side was doing and how you're doing, because you're super busy. You're everywhere.
But most of it, I have to say, the great gift here is that a million summits, on Zoom, online, tons of stuff doing that. I was at an event which was a little bit more of a business meeting, a group of people that I dearly love, very spiritual leaders kind of business meeting. And it was small. It was very small. So, small is in less than 100 instead of, 150 or 200. But the thing I know about Conscious Life Expo in LA is the booths were sold out back in like July or August. Sold out. This whole huge venue sold out. I was there last year and it was kind of quiet. I do great, and that's perfect anyway. But it's going to be back to a mob scene this year. So
and
we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm hoping you take an extra handler this year.
Right. I'm down one of my helpers.
Oh no.
I know. I should try and rally and get some.
Go find your local favorite student and drag them in. That's what I do.
Right. That's what I really should do. I
Yeah.
have identical twin girls, and last year they both came and helped me. They just turned 27. And one of them's coming this year, but the other one is getting her master's degree in Scotland. So she's.
And the husband is busy because it's tax season. I'm surprised you just throw food at him and just walk away, right?
Right. So yeah, I'll have to reach out to some of my local students. You're right, and say, hey, I could use a hand. Just
and get hands-on business, because that is the best way.
Yeah.
You can sit in a class. We can sit here and talk market funnels and money and finances and 6-month plan and all this other stuff. But taking somebody that has just learned how to do all this and throw them in as a handler. Like my little group, there's a few that have handled for me that are now out doing this.
Right. No, nothing better than firsthand experience. Absolutely. So, it really is a way to learn. I don't know. I weirdly don't think I end up with many students in Los Angeles, which is kind of an odd enigma to me.
What? I knew there was a lot of move out of California, honey. But the last time I was there were signs on every corner of the street.
Maybe that's why they didn't find me in Northern California. But no, it'll be great. And it's, it'll be just so much fun to be able to.
And there's talks and, there's actually time to sit and have a consultation with you. It's not just I'm going to talk for a half hour and then line up and I'll sign your books for $25 and, $50 for a selfie. You're doing actual consultations there.
I am. I am. I do a talk on Saturday, and that actually means that I'm booked for the rest of the weekend, which is, good for me. And it'll be a lot of fun. So I get to see a lot of people and do a lot of, not only readings for me, the piece that's important is the healing aspect, really being able to heal through the quantum field and heal your whole, kind of soul story in so many ways through this, quantum field. Because of course there's no time and space, and we can really jump in there and quickly clear patterns that we've had over the last 2,000 years or something. So I love to do that because I know when we do healing that it is transforming humanity. It really is transforming the world. And so the more healing I can do, the more group healing I can do, the more in all of those ways, the more people I can teach. It helps you to raise your vibration, hang out in source energy, see the bigger picture, change the way you see the world, make new choices. It's very profound when you can spend time in your own Akashic record and see the world from that beautiful divine energy.
Very much so. Well, darling, I'm going to let you go, and because I know you're busy. Do come back when you get the next book up, and also when you get the tape up. Because I don't know, I keep seeing you doing something with cameras again.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, I'm on Gaia TV, on Beyond Belief with George Nuri. We're taping it in May.
Okay.
I don't know when it's going to show. And then there's another possibility too around some TV or some fun stuff like that. So a lot of exciting stuff happening.
Yes. Well, thank you, darling. You have a wonderful evening.
Oh,
a great weekend.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Dottie the Psychic, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing any makeup. Well, one reason is to irritate my social media manager, Aeson Knight. Hi, Aeson. The other reason is because I like to get to the naked truth about what it means to be a neurodivergent LGBT person with psychic abilities. I've got vlogs, blogs, and podcasts and videos all related to trying to live my best life and helping witches and bitches do the same thing. So, you can check all that out and get a reading from Dottie the Psychic at DOTTIEthepsychic.com. Safe travel and much profit to you.
Do you have a cute pet? We know you do. Each week, Tracy Van chooses from submitted photos a featured reader for her Facebook page and provides a tarot reading. Your adorable pet cat, dog, rabbit, goat, chicken, snake, or more could be her next featured reader. Visit tracyvann.com, TracyBann.com, and click Featured Reader to submit. We look forward to seeing your pet next.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and I am here to tell you how to get in contact with me and a little bit about what I do. I am the High Priestess that works with shadow work to help you grow and heal. And I work with access bars, Reiki, I do power forms. I'm recently getting into crystal healing, sound therapy as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing, that is LadyGwendolynHealing.com. Book your appointment with me. I do in person, I do over the phone, I do over Zoom. We can do that as well. My main goal is to help you grow and heal, because I've been there, I'm still going through it, and let my strength help guide you. See you soon.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you have come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
Good evening, Miss Joe. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing well, doing well. So we got a few news articles we're going to cover before we
do. It's
One
going to be kind of a quick run.
it will be. We're not going to go off track. We're just going to go into them. One of them is really pissing me off.
Okay.
And that's the fake nursing diplomas. I mean,
yeah.
really?
Yeah. Like it's been a week, a little bit more than that, because this was January 27th, so a little over a week. That story broke for CBS News.
Mm-hmm.
7,600 fake nursing diplomas issued in Florida in alleged wire fraud scheme. That's a headline.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands of practicing nurses in the U.S. could potentially be working with bogus academic credentials after federal officials uncovered an alleged scheme at 3 South Florida nursing schools. The Department of Justice said Wednesday that the schools, now closed, allegedly issued more than 7,600 fake and unearned nursing diplomas. The schools involved in the alleged scheme include Siena College, Palm Beach School of Nursing, and Sacred Heart International Institute. The Justice Department has charged more than 24 people for their alleged involvement, saying they were engaged in a scheme to sell fraudulent nursing degree diplomas and transcripts obtained from accredited Florida-based nursing schools. Each of those defendants now faces up to 20 years in prison. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, they're talking about them not even being able to understand English. Mm-hmm. Read it, write it, spell it.
So the realities of a degree mill. Pay your money, you get your degree. We don't care if you understand the material or you have any awareness.
Yeah, what's more scarier is they even passed the boards. Most of them went to New York and passed the boards. How they've done this is beyond me. These people were working on a floor.
Well, yeah, they're working on a floor. I think that's probably the next step in it is how did you then pass your nursing board exam? Like either that exam is ridiculously easy.
Well, see,
or there's a next level.
Right. There's got to be a next level. There is no way that someone can sit for that board and not be able to understand English unless the exam was presented in a different language.
Mm-hmm.
And within that different language, they were able to guess the answer. This is a 6-hour exam.
Mm-hmm. Well, but that kind of, I mean, if you obviously could not have gotten through a nursing degree program in the U.S., most likely.
Right.
Because I'm assuming
right.
that a fair number of U.S.-based schools do not have a massive level of teaching ability for a variety of languages.
Right.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing. I know most colleges require you to have English language proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that a nursing school, even if it's unattached from a college,
right,
it's going to be even worse in terms of I need support for foreign language.
Right.
Like if you don't speak English, I can't help you.
Right.
Maybe if you speak Spanish, they can help you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that their biggest first step would be like, and we're going to put you in English as a second language.
Right.
Like, go do the English as a second language. Then we'll focus over here. Here's the thing, though. I'm just wondering how many of... Is there a possibility that some of the people that were using this program may have been nurses in a different country, which allowed it to kind of, as in it looks really bad, but they have the skills and training. No, they may not have English proficiency, but they have a general understanding of the nursing field. Or is this like, hi, turned 18, I don't know nothing about nothing?
Most likely, if they were able to pass a board, then they've had to have some nursing skills in other countries. The problem being, though, is you put them on the floor, the charts are in English. The orders are in English. The patients speak English. Like the complications that could have and did occur
or more than likely occurred.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in addition, and that's just for those who don't even speak English.
Right.
But then I wonder what percentage of those that don't even speak English makes up that 7,000 and change of people that got fake nursing degrees. But then you go, okay, fine. So you have a little bit of nursing ability, and let's assume some proficiency with English.
Right.
Okay, are we really at risk? Not saying anyone should do this or that it's a good thing or whatever. If you have a little bit of nursing training and you have and you at least have English proficiency.
Right.
You passed your boards. You're technically considered as good as any other nurse who showed up and didn't do anything.
Right.
But showed up to class at a real legitimate place, took all their classes, did all their tests, blah, 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 took their nursing board, because getting the nursing degree does not necessarily, it doesn't confer the ability to be a nurse. It just is the prerequisite before you go for your nursing board.
Right.
What are the risks there? if you have nurses on the floor that have at least enough knowledge to pass the board, though they did not sit through those classes. I mean, it's a total slap in the face to everyone else who did it the right way.
I find it very dangerous, very problematic. I think that it's very much a total issue. And it's very dangerous. And I went over to the Times, and it lists out the facilities that had these nurses on the floor working.
Well, because we're in a nursing shortage, I'm sure no one's really paying attention right now.
Well, I think everyone. I'll guarantee if there was every DON when this news story broke, immediately pulled their employee records and started looking and being very suspicious about but they were in Veterans Affairs hospitals in Maryland, New York, a hospital in Georgia, a skilled nursing facility in Ohio, a rehabilitation center in New York, and an assisted living facility in New Jersey. Is where the ones that they have been able to locate that they know are fake.
Because that would have been quick and easy, because just look for these 3 school names.
Yeah.
You know there's a problem.
Right. Because not only did they give them the diploma, they gave them a transcript that said they passed it. It only looks like 37% who bought the fake diplomas, or about 2,800 people passed the exam.
Okay. So 7,000 got the diploma, 2,000 passed the exam.
Right. Which means there was 2,800 fake nurses on the floor passing out and caring for and distributing medication.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I am still having this moment of like, because I know you had to, when you were in nursing school, have that one person, because every class has that one person that you're just like, oh my God, I cannot believe you exist. That passes, that then goes on, if there's a professional certification, as in like a nursing board, inexplicably passes it, because you're thinking, well, that'll be the thing that knocks them out of this, and at least we'll never have to worry about, nurse can't stick an orange without stabbing someone, doing a blood draw. But they somehow get it. They pass. Is that really as bad as that person, though?
Yeah.
Or worse than, I guess I should say.
Okay, let's take it over to your profession.
Okay.
Now
my profession's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Right. So they have someone get a informational technology degree, and the government hires them to handle medical record security.
Okay.
They basically sat there and look busy on their computer, but don't do it. Because all they're doing is updating plugins, and maybe they're doing a little email search. How risky is that security of those medical records?
Well, fundamentally, you're not doing the job.
Yeah.
Like at all whatsoever, you're nowhere near doing the job.
Right.
Because, and that's why I said my career field's interesting.
Yeah.
And within my career field, there's not a lot of respect for people who go get the 2-year associates, especially if it's the correspondence class, the ITT, there's a few different schools. And I believe ITT is attached to Florida, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So Florida, what's your problem with education here? You really like those federal dollars. You don't seem to like actual teaching.
Education.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to trash ITT and associate's degrees on the whole.
Right.
It's that these degrees can help you to get some very low-level positions.
Right.
If, however, you're going into a very serious specialized area with an employer who does not care and just goes, give it to him.
Right.
Like, he'll take $35,000 a year. Cool. Hire him.
Right. Well, it's like your former boss, the only management or experience he ever had from his ITT tech degree was burglary.
It was an associate's in, I believe, computer programming, if I remember correctly, or computer science. No, computer science. I believe it was an associate's in computer science. And his managerial experience was in fast food restaurant. And they combined those two things together and made him my manager at my employer. I'm not mad at him. I'm like, rocket, bro. You managed to take those two things and turn that into a mid-level management position.
Right.
Congratulations.
Right.
But
the other side of
there
that
were issues with that.
Right. Well, the other
were
side
lots
of
of
it,
issues.
you were dropped into skilled nursing of one patient for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. With your grandmother. Imagine being dropped into that situation with 25 patients or 30 patients.
Yeah. I wasn't even prepared for what I was doing, and I would have and I would hope that these aren't facilities that are like one-man bands. Like because I know like nursing homes have a tendency to go low staff at night, for instance.
Right.
So I would hope they wouldn't be in a situation where they're basically completely abandoned. But I do think that becomes a problem, could become a problem, much like we had with my former employer, or at least I had with my former employer, which is I went and got the 4-year effing degree, and I'm having to sit here and distill that up, not down, but up the food chain, so that we can actually start working on issues and problems that this company has with technology and systems, because that wasn't in, nor should it be, a 2-year computer science degree.
Right.
This is a very, like, making someone the IT manager really has more to do with the systems than the people.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, I was hired as a salary exempt employee, so I'm self-managing, or I'm supposed to be. It's like the real adult job. You're self-managing, you're salary exempt.
Right.
You're supposed to be able to show up on time, do your job. You don't need to clock in and out of a clock, because we trust you to understand that you have at least a 40-hour-a-week responsibility to this company in terms of, technically no, what you have is a responsibility to meet the requirements of the job and provide all of the deliverables and services that are necessary regardless of time frame. That's your technical salary exempt semi-description. There's way more to it, but generally self-managing.
Right.
I don't need a traffic cop standing over me going, okay, this is what you're going to do from 9 to 9:15. This is what you're going to do from 9:15 to 9:45. This is what you're going to do from 9:45 until 10:15. This is when you're going to take your smoke break. This is when you're going to take lunch. This is when you're going to leave for the day. This is if you're going to report back tomorrow or not. I don't need that. God help me.
Right.
I'm salary exempt. The nature of my job, it takes what it takes. Sometimes you do things, it takes 15 minutes. Sometimes you get down a rabbit hole, it takes 4 hours.
Right.
As long as it's done in a timely fashion and with reasonable expectation, you're good. But you take someone with, like the inability to understand because that's not their experience. They don't know what they're doing in terms of the systems and the policies necessary and the greater theories involved, as well as their managerial experience is, hi, we need to improve drive time. So I need you doing this and I need you doing this, and you can leave early and go take your break because we're slow right now. Whoa.
Right.
Whoa. So I can definitely see some of the crossover is if you don't have the right mindsets, if you don't have the right skill sets. That's why I was kind of wondering and had asked, if like how big of a problem does this really become?
Well, 2.5 micrograms of fentanyl is much different than 2.5 micrograms of Tylenol. That's how bad it is.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, but we are in a nursing shortage, much like we've been in a teaching shortage, and I can draw some similarities there.
Yeah.
Just this is an incident in which these people went and got board certified without appropriate credentials,
right,
and got put out onto nursing floors. 2,000 some odd nurses,
right,
fake nurses, just so we can
right.
But then we look at the rest of America, or look at West Virginia. We're now accepting people as teachers in classrooms with a high school diploma.
Up till grade 4, which that's always been there. Now they're extorting it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't there before. I'm just saying we're now at a point, we just don't care.
No.
We need hot bodies in cold seats, and we need them now. Not really in seats. We need you running. Run towards the fire that we have created.
And we are continuing to create. Hello, House bills.
We've poured gasoline on it.
Yeah.
And then we turn around and go, oh my God, we have unlicensed nurses or uneducated nurses. At least they're licensed technically. They're licensed.
No, because if they do not technically have the degree, the license ain't worth the paper it's printed on.
Fundamentally, but you have to go prove that. So technically, at the moment the report came out and the allegations were made, these are licensed nurses. They passed their board. They're licensed,
right,
to practice nursing. Until you go backwards, prove that no, you don't have the skills, training, or ability, nor did you ever sit through any program that would, get you there,
right,
and get appropriate grades and credits and all the skills and training you were supposed to get. Okay, now we can yank your license.
Right.
Go, no.
Right. I'm just wondering what 1199 said about this.
Ooh. But no, I just wonder how many other nurses these people are working with that are like, okay, I basically had to train that one.
Right.
Like, not normal, like you went through the entire nursing degree program, you got taught some bullshit, because I'm sorry, every degree program has some bullshit that you get taught. Great theory.
Right.
Great theory. Horrible in practice. Sort of like you were going over with while, my grandmother was on hospice. They had taught me how to roll her, and you're like, do you want to break a wrist?
Or her?
Do you want to roll her into the floor? Because that's what that's going to do. Like, great theory, great in theory,
right?
Horrible in practice. It has lots of problems. Don't do that. So again, I was dealing with someone who went through the program, got their degree, went and sat for their board, became the licensed nurse. They taught me. They don't have any practical real world experience, but they have the credential.
Right.
If they had gone onto a floor, someone would have been like, hello, stupid, you're new, aren't you? Let me teach you how to do that so you don't hurt yourself.
Right. All right. So 1199 SEIU is my old union. I may even still have membership with them. And I really find their statement Anyone not only breaking the law should be held accountable. And for those caregivers who duped, there must be a fair process to keep them in the workforce and receive the necessary training and accreditations to provide proper patient care. To attract and retain quality health care, they must be provided proper pay, protection, safe staffing levels, and respect.
How did they? Okay, here's the bigger question or side question: is how did they get duped?
They got
Like,
they duped the system.
well, I'm thinking the nurses did. Like, how? Like, a reasonable person,
Right.
because this sounds like you send your money and you got a degree. Okay, reasonable person knows I didn't do shit to do this.
Right.
Like, I didn't sit in class for a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever. I didn't, have to go show up and do things and listen to a teacher and, do some practical application and spend time in a hospital.
Uh-huh. But what they're talking about is the ones that came in that were apparently there's about 1,500. The operators of the bogus institutions put patients in further danger at the time when our healthcare system was highly stressed due to critical staffing shortages. They took advantage of the community of healthcare workers, largely immigrants seeking to improve their skills and have their abilities to provide care. Workers who may have come from countries where such fees often are associated with legitimate certification processes. Okay.
So are they more so alleging that, like, there's some nurses out there that came into this and they knew what they were doing and they did it to get a job? And then there's others
right
that were basically, recruited,
right,
groomed, told to pay the money, you'll get your degree, then you go sit for the board, and we'll tell you all the answers.
And we'll tell you all the answers.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So what they did was say that, we'll take a country that exports a lot of nurses and nurse aides and med techs, the Philippines, and they are LPN, CNA, SCNA, MAs in the Philippines. They bring them here. They say, pay us $15,000 and we'll get you through the licensing process here. They teach them how to take the board. That you don't mix bleach with cleaning solutions and whatever to get them into RN status when they're not RNs. That's the big problem. Is their CNAs, their MAs, which for those are medication assistants, meaning that they are tasked with helping patients manage medication that CNAs can't do. Some states have them, some states don't, but they push them into fake degrees and they think they're doing their job.
Okay. So this sounds like a much bigger ring.
Yeah.
As in, you have to know because this is human trafficking.
Right.
You might as well jump back to the 1700s, throw a boat into the mix, call them slaves, put them on it, ship them over, demand their money, because I'm sure for most of them it was everything they had.
Right.
Or could get their hands on, it wasn't just high.
Right.
And then you turn them loose because you don't do that. It's not high slave trade in the U.S. that we just went to Africa and went, what'd be fun? You know what would be fun?
Well, see, let's
round up a lot of people, put them on a boat and send them to the Americas, and then we'll see what they do when they get there.
Right.
No. There were people who had a need. We need fucking people to work this damn plantation. Hi, I need someone to go work these fields.
Right.
Okay, so you have hospitals, plantation owners, on multiple levels. You have a plantation owner at this point who goes, hi, I need people.
Right.
We have a nursing shortage. Have you noticed?
We've had a nursing shortage.
And then this goes one more level, and you have a hospital you have medical facilities, nursing facilities
Mm-hmm.
that are all on board with this.
Right.
They're like, I don't care where they come from. I don't care how you do this.
Right.
I need you to put butts on that floor.
We have to have them because state regulations require us to have this many people.
Uh-huh.
But this, looking at it from the 1199 perspective, which is not being covered in the news, is a bigger thing. And when I mean that, you have to understand that when a nurse is in the Philippines and they want to come and they're being recruited by the agencies there to come work in the United States, they have to pay their agency. Okay, so they've had to pay $15,000 American dollars for this fake diploma that did not prepare them or give them the knowledge or skills to work in America.
Yeah, it's a rubber stamp.
It's a rubber stamp. All they trained them to do is what we're doing with our students in school, pass the test, and sent them to New York, which is the easiest nurses board to get, and they knew it. Okay, like it has.
Good God, this is yeah. So it's layered. So we just backing up for everyone there. All right, so we're recruiting people that from a impoverished country. We are bringing them to the U.S. to get a rubber stamp degree from a fake school. Then we're busing, flying, whatever to New York to take the simplest nursing board in the 50 states.
Right.
And then they leave there and get back on a bus and get dropped at a hospital waiting for their approved test results.
Well, you'll have the results within a week. And then at that time you're considered GN, GLPN, so you can work the floor for up to 6 months. If you don't, you have 6 months to pass your boards. But the current rate for nurses on average per hour is $30 and $30.39 per hour.
They weren't making anywhere near that, were they?
No, they were making
minimum wage.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. So they're paying out the $30 per hour to the agency, who also gets a fee from the hospital. And then the agency takes their cut of the money. So let's say they take, 50%, which puts us
or more. I've worked for staffing agencies. I got billed out for $21 an hour. I got paid minimum wage.
Right. But anyway,
yeah.
So let's say that they are paid minimum wage because it's in the U.S., so they have to keep their accounting right.
Yeah, you don't want to get shut down for wage and labor.
Right. All those fees, however, gets deducted out of that minimum wage. So that nurse could be earning $2 an hour when it's done.
Yeah.
Who then has to send half of that back to their family, which was the whole reason they came here. So they're living on $1 an hour at 70 hours a week.
So $70.
How is this not indentured servitude?
It's beyond that. It's slavery.
Right.
It's not indentured servitude. I mean, well, okay, technically it is. At some point, everything gets paid off unless they keep sitting there adding fees because it's taking you so long to pay it off, and we're going to add interest, and we're going to do this.
Yeah.
At which point, yeah, no, sorry, it's human trafficking.
Right.
Like, that's what it is. Like, I mean, on some level, I guess you're supposed to be like, well, on the bright side, they were sent here to be nurses, not, sex slaves.
Right.
Oh, well, that's so much better. No, it's not.
Yeah, this is insane.
Yeah. And again, all of these facilities are going to be able to argue that they knew nothing. They didn't know what was going on. They had no idea.
Right.
But they knew. They all knew. They knew. They had to have known. You cannot possibly have gotten these people out onto a floor and not had a stink from your general staff.
Right.
Going, the fuck, where did you pull this one from?
Right.
Because knows nothing.
Can't even read an order.
Doesn't speak English, doesn't know what they're doing, about killed 3 people.
Uh-huh.
And that's their first shift.
Right. Okay. And then, so what, and I see where SU 11 on you on this at. The facilities had to fire the nurses.
Obviously.
The people that were doing this to them have now been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
The nurses are not being charged.
Nor should they be.
And now these immigrants have no job,
Mm-hmm.
no way to earn money, and now they're stuck in a country.
Mm-hmm.
With now a debt collecting agency coming after them.
Oh, I'm sure.
And there is no reason that those people, even though they may have higher learning skills, cannot be put on the floor as CNAs.
Well, they can be.
Yes.
It's like, get them through English language.
Yeah.
Get them through English language. Set them back through a nursing program.
Mm-hmm.
I know a fair amount of it at this point is going to be, high. Like, I already know how to do that.
Great.
I figured it out with some duct tape, spit, and a prayer. But
And
I already know how to do that.
You how to do it.
Yeah.
But the other part of that is there's now these facilities are got their cake,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're abandoning them.
Oh, of course.
And the medical boards in New Jersey and New York and everyone else is blacklisting them or deregistering them,
Mm-hmm.
so they can't work in the field.
Mm-hmm. Not that I'm saying that's what should happen. I'm just sitting here going, understandably, like, it's to be expected. That's how they're going to respond to it, because they think the people are the problem, and it's like, the people are not the problem.
Yeah, it's been clear.
There's people who are the problem. Yeah, but no, I could see doing that until they can prove that they have gone through the program.
No, they're not letting them do that at all. They're blacklisting them.
This is a nightmare.
Yeah. This is a situation where the medical board needs to chunk up their ass.
Well, everyone needs to take a breath.
Yeah. And
it's like, figure out who the villains are. Because it's not these nurses. These nurses, granted, ended up in a bad situation.
Right.
But it's like looking at a 14-year-old who's been forced by a pimp to spread their legs and calling her a prostitute. She's not a prostitute. She can't even consent.
Right.
It's rape. You can't, like, and in an analogy,
right,
these are not people who willfully did what they did. Like, they tried to go, they got suckered in, they got recruited into a nightmare.
Right.
An exploitative nightmare.
Right.
And it's not that none of these nurses have the ability to be nurses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure some of them are actually probably better.
Right.
I mean, granted, learn the hard way.
Right.
But, there's a whole list of things they'll never try again.
Right.
And yes, this was very dangerous for patient care, but it doesn't mean they cannot go on.
Right.
And should be disallowed from it, because they're not the one that created it.
Right.
They're the one that got suckered into it. And here you go. We have a whole process, and we're just going to bounce you around and, get you through an easy program that no one's going to care about. And then we're going to take you up north run you through the easiest state board we can run you through, and then we're going to dump you in the surrounding metro where you can easily transfer that brand new license to another state health board or
Right.
has a reciprocity agreement.
No, if you work in a state, you have to have a license.
I know, but I was sitting here going, I don't know if that's
They don't have border.
Well, but what I was saying was there's effectively a moment where it's like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. It's kind of all right there together. It's like if I don't know if they would have any leniency there or a way to just be like, look, you're a licensed nurse in New York.
Mm-hmm. You have 3 months.
New Jersey's right here.
Right. You still have 3. You can work there for 3 months, and you have to then take the board for New Jersey.
Okay.
You have to be licensed in all 3 states. There's no border crossing allowed. It's like it's rare to even get a border crossing for that. But no, now we have people that have worked through COVID. And yes, hello, you hear people talk about PTSD. Our nursing staff has PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who didn't know what they were doing, not skilled at what they were doing, who did not have the proper education for what they were doing. And now we're coming out of this, and the government finally figures out, what does these schools only have, there's 3 schools, only have 10% passing the nurses board in New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this isn't a hard nursing board. And when we keep saying this, every state, that like for whatever you're trying to do, there's probably a state where it's easiest.
Right.
Where it's just easiest. It doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's easy. It just means this is the easiest state you can do this in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't necessarily think that it's like, hi, we're going to, here's your dolly. Show me where you'd put the needle. There. All right. Here's your nursing degree. Or here's your nursing certification. Good job. Like, no, I'm not saying New York is that easy.
No.
It's just some states have fewer questions. Some states have questions that are a little better worded. And it can be an easier to follow, easier process, less expensive process, less somehow.
Right.
That altogether, it's like, go to New York, you can do it in 20 minutes.
Right.
You just take the test and you're
right.
done.
It's like the same thing can be said about lawyers. If you want to become a lawyer, go to California. Okay. You want to own a company, register in Delaware or Nevada. Easiest place to register an LLC at.
Oh, not even just the easiest, the most shielded.
Right.
Like, you want to talk about open for business. Delaware has spread its legs for business.
Right. So, we now have 3 problems. 1, all the real nurses from Florida just got their license reviewed. And I'll guarantee you every medical board, if you have Florida even in your record, because that's your license from one state to another, it continues the record. If you had Florida in there, you might get questioned when you were new, or you may have gotten a letter already, depending on the board. 1. So all the nurses that actually went to nursing school in Florida and spent that 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, waterproof books, studying for their LP, their RN, just got reviewed. Okay. And your employer is reviewing if they want to keep you just because you have something on your thing. We have at least 2,800 people that was schemed the fuck out of, used for slave labor for up to 5 years. Now left with no money, no way to support themselves, no job, and their visa is in question because they're mostly in with a B2 visa. So ICE is going to get involved here because if they're not working, their visa is going to run out and they're going to get shipped back to where they came from.
And I'm sure about every nursing every nurse that is from a foreign country is getting looked at sideways.
Yeah.
Like, why are you here? Like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Like we just and to some degree, it here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an
Right.
unreasonable thing to have that thought.
Right.
It is, however, one of those things that can quickly spiral out of
Right.
control.
Right.
In which, because we were talking recently in one of the, I believe it was the Patreon streams,
Uh-huh.
Patreon only streams,
Right.
about like, 9/11.
Right.
And the speed at which people went from there was a terrorist act to college professors getting death threats
Uh-huh.
was whiplash inducing. As in, how do you think they had anything to do with this?
Right.
Do you even care?
Right.
Where they're from, who they are, what religious beliefs they have or don't, what, connection they may very well not have because they're from a country nowhere near, but you've lumped them in because now you think they're suspect.
Right.
The whiplash.
Right.
And that's what's more than likely going to happen here.
Right. And then, ANA is just going, oh, this is terrible for our organization. That's cute, ANA. What about the 2,800 people? What about the patients this was affected to?
Mm-hmm.
What about the skilled nursing this was affected to? Mm-hmm. How many death records do we need to go and review and see if it's part of your spotty bullshit?
Well, and then there's and you're right, there is a bigger problem here.
Mm-hmm.
And that needs to be addressed is, okay, so I would say someone in New York is already making theirs the hardest nursing license to get possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've just been shown to be the easiest one to get.
Right.
Someone's on that.
Right.
But then, yes, you do have to consider the implications of this is, how many people, even if they're not bringing people from other countries,
mm-hmm.
even if they're not giving them fake degrees,
uh-huh.
how many companies are running people through,
uh-huh.
how many agencies, because someone had to figure this all out.
Right.
It's not like you just wake up one morning and go, oh, I know how to do this.
Right.
No. Someone had to figure out New York's the easiest one to get. It's the easiest one.
Right.
Then someone had to figure out, okay, what do you actually need?
Mm-hmm.
Then someone had to get a hold of test answers, because I'm sorry, it's very unlikely without test answers.
Right.
Like, so you have a cheating problem, you have an easy exam, you have a already demonstrated abuse, widespread abuse. Like 2,000 nurses that got their license doesn't sound like a lot, but
right.
That's a lot.
Right.
That's some widespread abuse.
Right.
That's not like one or two people game the system and statistically it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This could be endemic of a much bigger problem. So,
right.
like you were saying, there's also going to be a lot of people that are going to be very concerned with, you got your board in New York? Excuse me, let's go retest you.
Right.
And figure out if you actually can do this.
And because the practice test is down. I just checked because there's a practice test.
There's a very high likelihood their practice test was the test.
Yeah. It's down.
And yeah.
This is infuriating. For three reasons. One, we have people that did not put the work into the degree on the floor. Two, we have patients at risk. And three, then we have nurses like me are going, huh, what the fuck? You wouldn't let me back on the floor because I can't move a patient during a fire. But you will let someone untrained, unskilled, and knows how to test well.
Or has all the answers.
Or both.
Yeah.
On the floor, caring for patients in critical care.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Florida, really?
It's not even Florida. It's high U.S.
Yeah,
for-profit medical treatment,
right,
medical care,
right,
for-profit, which is real mental for me. But for-profit healthcare. This is what you get.
right.
Like, who thought we were going to be so insulated in a for-profit healthcare system
Mm-hmm.
from the exact same things that we see in every other for-profit business?
Right.
Really? Anyone want to raise their hands?
Mm-mm. Well, let's take
Like,
a
do you think there's a reason a lot of janitorial services for offices do not speak English? Because we're exploiting people.
right.
We're, as a business, you're paying a company to go exploit people.
Mm-hmm.
And then go, oh, I don't know anything about it. I don't employ anyone who's here illegally. I've never heard of such thing. Doesn't care
Right.
that you're bringing people into the building
Mm-hmm.
that are being exploited.
Yeah.
That the same thing's being done to. It's just, oh, well, you can't do a lot of damage with a broom and a mop. Au contraire.
Uh-huh.
Like, au contraire. I had some issues with the fact that I worked for a company that did this.
Mm-hmm.
Their contracted janitorial service, no one spoke English.
Right.
Or so little.
Right.
But at the same time, we were a business with a lot of sensitive information.
Right.
A lot of sensitive financial information, a lot of sensitive personal information, a lot of sensitive information. And these are people that you're bringing into the building
Mm-hmm.
with full access.
Right.
After hours, when
Mm-hmm.
no one's here.
Right.
Excuse me, what? Excuse me, what? You don't care who you hire. You don't care who's in the building. You don't care.
Right.
Oh, right. For-profit business.
Right.
No, you don't. Cheapest way you can get it.
Right.
I have problems with that.
Right.
That, like, hi, no, these people have no FDCPA training. These people have no HIPAA training. These people have no training whatsoever.
Right.
And they're a walking liability through this building.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on the IT side, you didn't care enough to force these computers to lock.
Right.
You didn't care enough to make sure that we had a clean desk policy.
Right.
So you walk through the floor of this building,
right,
and there's records spewed over people's desks.
right,
Social security numbers, credit card numbers, all of this. And that became part of the problems I had to start addressing when I started working there.
mm-hmm,
It's like, are y'all crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy?
Right.
None of these systems lock. No one has a required screensaver. No one's getting kicked out of the system for inactivity. No one is cleaning off their desk. There is mountains of protected information everywhere.
right,
Unlocked filing cabinets everywhere. Unlocked desks everywhere.
right,
What the hell? This is an information security nightmare.
mm-hmm.
We
This
fixed
is a
almost all of it.
nightmare.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop into Are You an Asshole?
Alrighty. Am I the asshole for leaving a vacation I planned for my girlfriend after her friends came along? My girlfriend, Sarah, 29, and I, male, 28, have been dating for 5 years, and I wanted to go on vacation with her to celebrate. I planned the trip for several months. Of course, I shared my plans with her and decided on skiing, snowboarding, other winter activities in Colorado. The activity seemed perfect, and I was looking forward to this for months because I wanted to propose to her at the end of the trip. 5 days before the trip, Sarah dropped the ball on me that she invited 2 of her friends to meet her there. I was upset because I wanted to spend one-on-one time with Sarah for our anniversary. I feel like it was plain and clear that this was a trip for just us. Even though I expressed my concerns, Sarah insisted that her friends already made plans to come and won't back out. I decided to accept this because there was no way for me to force her friends to not come. I wish I had fought more on this. I figured we could make some changes to our plans and I would still be able to propose to her privately. Sarah essentially blew me off for her friends and we didn't get any private time. After 3 days of being in second place, I decided to leave the trip and head home. I told Sarah why I was leaving, and she was upset. She told her friends about my decision, and I was ganged up on. They said they were all having a great time. She thinks I'm being a jerk for making her pick between her friends and me, even though her friends weren't invited in the first place. I never had personal issues with her friends prior to this trip. I never made Sarah pick between me or her friends because everyone needs friends outside of a relationship. I am at home now and thinking about everything. I have a day to myself before Sarah comes home, so at least I get to relax a bit. Sarah and her friends think I'm overreacting and think I ruined the trip. I think Sarah was disrespectful and rude to me by ruining the purpose of this trip and having her friends gang up on me. Am I the asshole for leaving a vacation I planned for my girlfriend after her friends came along? Now, there's a couple of edits. The first one I think I can read. The second one I think I want to wait on.
Read the first one.
Okay, yeah. This is a edit. This was a planned anniversary romantic trip. I was clear that we have plans for just us two. We've been on other anniversary trips together without her friends there. We did discuss marriage beforehand, so it's not like a proposal would have been out of the blue.
Not the asshole. Matter of fact, I wouldn't have went.
Yeah, definite not the asshole. I give him trooper points for going, all right, let's go. All right, your friends are coming. All right, yep. Okay,
Yeah.
we can make that work. Yeah.
Right.
That's trooper points.
Right.
At the point, I lost it after she blew him off for her friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, scene.
Yeah.
You screwed this up.
Right.
Like, not just like, oh, honey, we're going to go ski just us girls for a couple hours.
Right.
Oh, we're going to go shopping for a couple hours. Like, you took 3 whole days.
Yeah.
Of just like, nope.
Right.
Nope. Thanks for bringing me on a ski trip, but no.
Right.
We're going to go hang out together. You figure out something to do,
right.
Is what this reads like. Yeah, not the asshole. So not the asshole, right. Dude, not the asshole. Please get out of this relationship. I don't know what this is. I don't know why this happened. I don't know what the hell your fiance was thinking.
Right.
Other than she literally did everything that you could possibly do to proposal block someone.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm sorry if at 5 years you're taking her on a ski weekend,
right,
and it's your anniversary,
mm-hmm.
and it's a romantic trip. I think you've dropped the biggest breadcrumb trail humanly possible.
Right.
For her to then turn around and blow you off to go hang out with her friends,
mm-hmm.
Hi. That's everything you could possibly do to ruin it.
Right.
To make sure you don't get proposed to.
Right.
So either you don't want to get proposed to because you think you like the relationship you're in, you don't want to get married, and you're using your friends as a buffer to keep that from happening. or my God, the level of obliviousness.
Right.
Like, I just can't imagine, like, to set all that up
Right.
and then be with someone that oblivious.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty oblivious, okay?
Right.
Like, I'm pretty clueless. Like, I don't know when people are hitting on me. I miss a lot of clues. But I think with that description, I would have been like, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Romantic weekend on my anniversary
Uh-huh.
to a ski resort. Huh. I wonder if I'm going to get proposed to this weekend. Like, sounds like a setup. Let me see.
Uh-huh.
I know. I will call my two best friends and have them come join us.
No, Sherry can stay at home. I would not have gone on the trip. I would have said, what? Oh, you're turning this into a girls' weekend? Great. Here's my plane ticket for Marcy, because I'm sure she doesn't have the money for the plane ticket. Have a nice time. And stayed home. And took that ring back to the jeweler and hoping they have a good return policy and got something else for myself or my cash back.
Yeah. Hell, at that point, I would have played it up. Like, she left me for other women.
Mm-hmm.
I would just played it up right there at that point because it's not untrue. Yeah, I'm with Brenda. I don't think she wanted this proposal because you couldn't have dropped any bigger hints.
Yeah.
Like, either she is so horribly oblivious that this is going to be a movie.
Right.
Or, or no, she didn't want the proposal.
Right.
Like, nope, you got your answer. She said no.
Right.
But she enjoys your money. She enjoys spending it. She enjoys you spending it on her. And she enjoys spending time with her friends while she spends your money.
Right.
Because that's what this sounds like, I'm assuming. Right. Like, I'm making a lot of assumptions.
Right.
Brenda's like, I'm not even that clueless.
Right. Right.
Oh, my God. So that was a fun one.
And we've been promised an update, so we will check out the update on Friday.
Oh, there we go.
All right, so the poll is up on my YouTube page. It is in the comments for our Facebook viewers. Please go over there. Be sure to like and subscribe. That way you can actually get a good stream because we know Facebook doesn't like me. Yeah. All right.
Do you have a relationship?
I do. I have a corrected relationship. It's in your private box.
Oh, there we go. Oh, just saw it. All right. Wife, 28 female, wants a Valentine's night at home. I, 34 male, want a romantic night out. It's our fourth Valentine's together. I've always been a romantic. I don't know. It seems like this year my wife is fine with just letting the day come and go. Granted, she does want to recreate one of our first dates at home, pizza and classic Nintendo games, but we cook together at home nearly every night. I don't want Valentine's Day to be victim to whatever rut we have been forming. I don't know if I should just say I'm happy with whatever makes you happy or push for something more involved like a romantic restaurant, flowers, and dessert, followed by dessert. Thoughts? This feels like threading a needle.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Like, that sounds like a relationship question equivalent of, like, Russian roulette. Because take it away. I got nothing.
Personally, I would do a 3-day weekend. One night she gets what she wants, one night you get what you want, and one night you guys get to do something you haven't done before.
I like it.
You know, like go take a cooking class.
Oh, that'd be cute.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that'd be cute.
Yeah, because there's no reason you can't have Valentine's weekend the whole weekend.
Yeah, does that actually work out this year?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, you could start on Sunday, take the 13th and 14th.
Well, you could start on Sunday. You could start on the 12th with the cooking class.
Mm-hmm.
The 13th, you do pizza and video games.
Mm-hmm.
The 14th, you do the romantic dinner. And each day, you do a card on the 12th, you do candy on the 13th, and you send flowers on the 14th.
Nice. And hopefully you get a lot of dessert.
Yep.
Like that's what I'm hoping for you. I don't know. Like I don't think I would push it. Like that's one of those. I don't think I'd push that.
Right.
I like what you're saying is great, and if she agrees, it's great. I don't think I'd push it.
Right.
But I can't tell. Like I think it really sucks to tell someone to just be whatever makes you happy. Because that's a really shitty relationship narrative that like never ends happily.
Right.
Like no.
Yeah.
So I hope it works out. I hope you do like a 12th, 13th, 14th.
Right.
Everyone gets what they want.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brenda's with damned if you do, damned if you don't. Love Aeson's idea.
I'm a romantic at heart. What do you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a houseplant.
Yeah, I know. Remind me to spritz you later.
I think you did earlier.
I did not take the spray bottle and just spray you.
Oh, okay. But
You get a little dusty. But no, these are a lot of problems that occur around Valentine's Day. You make big, gorgeous plans, they fall through. You do something, they don't appreciate it. You don't do something, they give you hell.
Meanwhile, can I just point out for everyone how easy Valentine's Day actually has been for you? Because I'm a houseplant. I'm a house. Okay? Little, tiny amounts of attention are all I really ever need. But he set the stage beautifully. I work that day. Like this, I can't take it off. Like I cannot take that day off.
Mm-hmm.
We can do something, but we can't take a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We usually exchange cards and go out to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. That's the whole thing. Or we order something in. Like whatever, one way or the other. I'm great.
Mm-hmm. Now,
like,
let's talk about what was your first Valentine's Day with me?
Oh Lord, what was our first Valentine's Day?
Uh-huh.
We were on the road, weren't we?
Nope.
No.
I'm never on the road during Valentine's Day. That's insane and stupid.
I thought we did do an event one Valentine's Day weekend. Okay.
Tick tock, tick tock.
Yeah, I'm horrible at this.
Uh-huh.
I'll remember it with enough information. I'm just
big vase, flowers, candy, card.
Yes, you did.
Coffee.
Okay, you did. And you followed directions. Like he didn't get me roses. It was wonderful.
Uh-huh. Coffee, lunch delivered.
Mm-hmm.
This is on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wasn't physically but he got stuff throughout the day.
Yes, I got stuff throughout the day. I was like, oh, Brenda, sweetheart, I love you dearly, but if you don't know by now that I am not that partner in our relationship, I hate to inform you now, I am not that partner in the relationship with the whole mental scrapbook that is just right there with a time and date stamp.
And why have you not gotten flowers since?
I don't know.
Really?
You got me what I wanted and I was thrilled.
I know. What was the effect for the next 2 weeks?
Oh, did I sneeze like crazy?
Yes.
Oh, that was true.
Uh-huh.
But that was also, wasn't it, while I was, yeah, because that would have been after I started the immunotherapy. Yeah, there was no way in hell I wasn't going to sneeze like hell through that.
Right. So that was the first. What was the second?
I'll just enter the evidence. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just, no. Oh, Brenda, you'd think, wouldn't you? No.
No.
It's not that I've forgotten. I remember. It's just trying to put it, like, pull it like a file doesn't happen.
Uh-huh. You got candy and cards waiting on you when you woke up in your desk chair. And I cooked, I think that's the first night I cooked your livers, which you didn't like, but we did find a recipe for.
Oh, God, I remember that night. Yes, you did cook livers. Yes.
Yes.
But no, and then that's been our rough pattern since.
Yeah. He gets candy.
Like, not the livers, but
yeah,
like...
he gets candy that he likes. He gets, normally, it's either a box of candy or a bag of candy. When I say bag, I'm talking gift bag.
Yeah.
Because there's been years that the hearts have been hard to find. He gets a card. He gets time, but not that day.
Not that day. Because now that's the other part of this is like our Valentine's Day is a 2-day event, and they are not directly together.
Uh-huh.
Because the 14th, I get the stuff.
Uh-huh.
And like we eat together, and then the rest of the time he is scurried off to go work because you want to talk about a day for network psychics. Holy shit. The 14th of February, hot damn. The amount of phone calls. Is he going to propose? 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 Why didn't he propose? Why isn't he proposing? Why didn't he propose? Is he going to call me? 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 Is he with his wife? Like that whole day. Phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call. It is all relationships. The networks could shut down every other side of the site because no one calling for financial advice on fucking Valentine's Day.
Surprised, but anyhow.
Oh, really? Seriously? I would have thought, like, at this point, it was
because then you have the boss in love with the secretary in love with the boss, and I need to quit because he just, I just had to order flowers for his wife. Fucking lazy husbands.
True. Well, and I'm sorry, secretary, that's part of the job description.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it is. Like, I hate to tell you, it's ugly and it's nasty. It's a dirty part of the job. But keeping the wife and the mistress or the mister away from each other and ensuring that they all get appropriately appreciated on major holidays is part of the job description.
Yes. The other side of this, and let me make this clear. Men, floor, do not fuck up your plans. Do not call Wayne 100 Flowers or wherever the fuck else and get flowers. Call the lady's respected florist.
And there's, because you have rules on this one, is there should be two.
If you have more than one relationship, you have a florist for each relationship. Do not send them through the same one because the florist will fuck it up and the wife will get the pink 13 roses and the girlfriend will get the red roses. Wrong direction there.
Yeah. Will not be good.
Yes.
And you really won't appreciate the single charge for 2 sets of flowers. On that day.
But anyway, man saved me some trouble. It is February 14th. It is a Tuesday. Call on the 10th. You have 3 days. Call your florist. Let them handle it if you can. Mr. says, your day is February 28th, not the 14th. Get your calendar correct for your romantic date. Breathe. That is Mr. Says and Meta Day.
Meanwhile, hi! Guess which day we get? Like, I get cards and flowers or whatever and a meal on the 14th. The 28th is actual Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then, you know,
He still
I
works.
get March 14th.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, oh yeah, I know. But he still works on the 28th as well. It's just by that point, like, it's an underappreciated holiday.
Yeah.
Like, it's an underappreciated holiday, but by that point, most everyone's figured out, like, 14 days later, their whole, are they going to kill him? Are they going to not? Are they going to call his wife? Like, it calms down.
Right. I can actually have a conversation.
Yes.
Yes. You know, I can sit down for dinner. I can go out for an evening.
It's not just one call after the next, 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 and like you can't get 2 words between the calls.
No. And you get a slack of coffee, finger food. Thank you.
Yes. And sometimes I'm about to crap myself.
That's not the case anymore because it is mobile. But
yes, but in the beginning, holidays. Oh my God, the first I do remember that part. Our first couple of Valentine's days where you literally were about ready to crap yourself because you can't get it to stop.
Right.
Like, it's a day where not only is the call volume so high, but on top of that, the system starts to break down. And like that ability to get out is like, do what you can.
Right. Now, I'm going to also say this. Private clients, you want a reading on Valentine's Day, book it now.
Yes. Yes. And you can probably expect him to be at least 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
He's trying. He really, truly is trying to get out, but like, it's a mess.
It's a mess. Because my wait time to book private appointments will go up on that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
All right. Well, it's been a nice long show. Yes, we went long. Yes, you deserved it. I'm glad I got Lisa to come back on. If you're in LA, go check her out. She's an awesome speaker. She's a really good author. Go get her books. The links are in the show descriptions. See this. We have the astrology class that is up. If you want to take the astrology class live, feel free to go ahead and get that book, get your seat, so we can get your chart and stuff ready for you for your class. And it's going to be a really great class. I always book them longer. Look at that time and understand that I've made room for 200 students. All right. So with that, let's go see if you're the asshole this week.
Am I the asshole? I'm not the asshole. I'm sweet and lovable.
Right. All right. The poll has ended, and you are not the asshole.
Woohoo!
Yay!
All right. Well, Grad Tattoo 9009, you're not the asshole.
Yeah. All right. So with that, take it away.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. And remember, baristas, you get that class for free. Message me your birth information if you need your birth chart. And I will see you on Saturday. Now, we'll be on tomorrow night's Divination Night as part of West Virginia Psychics. We'll be back on Thursday with coffee and tea. And Friday, of course, we'll be Mountain Bears. And ooh, we got some heat to cook up on that fur.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Tell me the deck is stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now.